Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to one of my live streams. It's been an absolute age and I'm really sorry for that, but I'll explain it a little bit later on. But first of all, thank you so much for joining me on this last minute live stream about the UK property market. I hope everyone is doing fantastic. And today, because I've not been around for must have been about a month now, we're going to go over the latest nationwide Halifax and RICS surveys reports. The RICS one is done by the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. So that gives you a good indication of what the estate agents who also do the surveying do, as well as what Nationwide and Halifax and their mortgage figures have brought forward over the last couple of weeks. So if you are new here and you want to join in the live stream, please feel free to pop any questions in the comment section below throughout the live stream. If there are any questions, we will be answering those about buying a property, selling a property, and the housing market in general. So thank you so much for joining. I'm Lee Everett. I've been an estate agent in the north of Essex for coming up 21 years now. So yeah, I've got a fairly good understanding of the house buying process, how different markets have come and gone. I've worked through the financial crisis, Brexit, and all other bits and pieces as well. So I've got a fair idea on how things go when buying and selling a property. So if you do have any questions for an estate agent, an unbiased estate agent as well, if you are a regular here, you'll know that I give honest, unbiased opinions on what I think is happening. Any questions that you want answering as well, yep, I answer those as best as possible. And I can't give you exactly what's going to happen or what you should do, but I can give you my opinion based on the information that I have and what I'm experiencing right now. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them, and the community as well. If you are here, say hello, let us know where you're watching from. That would be fantastic. So welcome everyone. Planet Pokerwood, hello, how you doing? Welcome. SR, love your channel. Thank you so much. Thank you. I say it's been a while since I've actually done a live stream. My little boy, we turned 2 in December. He's decided all of a sudden to wake up randomly after bedtime, getting out of bed, asking to be tucked in, playing with his toys. Yeah. So I've not been able to do a live stream where it probably wouldn't have been interrupted every 5 minutes with a little boy asking to be tucked in. So yeah, that's the reason why I haven't done it. Nice. Yeah, it is a surprise. The wife, she's a photographer, and she's editing 3,500 photographs from a wedding she's done recently. So I'm not needed tonight. And also the little boy's sleeping as well. So yeah, nice little surprise. Mr. Fee, evening, hope you're well. Yeah, I'm doing really well, thank you. Really well. Apart from needing a haircut, which is a pretty common theme, isn't it? I've always got an overgrown head. So yeah, I'm all good. I hope you are as well. Yeah, if you haven't liked the stream already, guys, that'd be great if you could. Let YouTube know that we're doing a live stream and gets it pushed out to a few more people. That would be fantastic. So I want to go over the 3 reports that have come out over the last couple of weeks. I've read through a couple of, mainly the RICS one, the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors reports. That's the one which I've not actually read in too much detail, but a lot of other news outlets, YouTubers have started to talk about that one a bit more, possibly because it fits their narrative more than when it has previously. I don't know, but I'm going to talk about it just because other people are as well, and give you my opinion on that report. Also do the Nationwide and the Halifax as well. So let's get into it. The first one I want to do is we're gonna do this one, which is the Nationwide. Let's start off with the negative, or the biggest negative report, which is the Nationwide saying that house prices have come down quite considerably year on year, where I say other sources are saying different things. So house prices down 3.1% year on year in March, the largest annual decline since July 2009, obviously shortly after the financial crisis. All regions saw a slowing in price growth in Q1, with most seeing small year on year falls. West Midlands was the strongest performing region, while Scotland remained the weakest. So this is obviously from Nationwide. They have a certain percentage of the mortgage market in. I'm not sure if that's the whole of the UK, actually. I think Halifax does the whole of the UK, including Northern Ireland, and Nationwide excludes Northern Ireland. They just do England, Scotland and Wales. So they are leaving out a proportion of the United Kingdom. I don't know why, whether they don't offer mortgages in Northern Ireland, but yeah. So that may be one of the reasons why the Halifax report differs with the Nationwide report. Just one reason. Could be nothing, but yeah, I think Nationwide don't include Northern Ireland, where I think prices are still pretty competitive. Well, not competitive. It's still quite competitive to buy a property in Northern Ireland, but again, I'm not an expert over there. Commenting on the figures, Robert Garner, chief economist, said March saw a further decline in annual house price growth, with prices down 3.1% compared to the same month last year. March also saw further monthly price falls of 0.8%, the seventh in a row, which leaves prices 4.6% below their August peak. That's seasonally adjusted. The housing market reached a turning point last year as a result of the financial market turbulence which followed the mini budget. We all remember the mini budget, don't we? Since then, activity remained subdued. The number of mortgage approved for house purchase remained weak at 43,500 cases in February, almost 40% below the level prevailing a year ago. And I've got a little chart here as well. I'm not sure if I can bring that up. Let's have a look. Can we bring that up? You see that? So down here is when we had lockdown. So not many mortgage approvals happening then. After lockdown, shooting up. And then we've got the mini budget, which is this large drop. And as we've seen interest rates start to level off, we've started seeing more and more people getting mortgages. However, we are still well below where we were at the peak last year, which, we've still got quite a way to go before we start seeing first-time buyers and people with mortgages able to borrow or have the confidence in borrowing a large amount of money for their purchase. So let's go back onto here. It'll be hard for the market to regain much momentum in the near future since consumer confidence remains weak and household budgets remain under pressure from high inflation. Housing affordability also remains stretched, where mortgage rates remain well above the lows prevailing later point this year. Here we go. Can I get that little graph up as well? Mortgage rates. Look at that. Unbelievable. So the mortgage rates, the increase in that was the major thing which halted the economy or halted the housing market last year. And we noticed that October, which is generally our busiest month of the year, was one of our slowest in terms of agreed house sales. September was pretty good. Was very good, in fact. So, but October historically is our best-selling month, whereas last year September was our best-selling month, along with March last year as well. And obviously, as you can see here, the interest rates shooting up as quickly as they did. And I'm really glad I fixed my mortgage just over a year ago for 5 years. But yeah, look at those average rates. Average 5-year fixed rate, 4.4%, which in comparison, mine on a 70% loan to value is 2.04%. So we're well over double the interest which you could have got 14, 15, 16 months ago. So, but must remember, interest rates were going up before the mini budget. It was just, those swap rates really hammered the mortgage rates that were available. Let me know if you've actually noticed, if you've been keeping an eye on the mortgage market, if you've been doing or speaking to a broker over the last couple of months, if you've noticed yourself that mortgage rates are starting to come down, those monthly payments are starting to come down, or have you maybe looked to increase your mortgage length from the standard 25 year to maybe 30, 35 or 40 years to help stretch out that large amount of money and the large amount of interest you are paying. Obviously, if you stretch it out over a longer term, you will pay more interest, but it will keep your immediate monthly costs lower. So that is one way which I've spoken to a couple of first-time buyers who are buying through me at the moment, have been able to sort of circumnavigate the high interest rates by spreading it over a longer period of time, which, depending on your circumstances, might be a good thing, it might be a bad thing, but you are obviously paying more interest. The longer you have the mortgage, the more interest you are paying. Where are we? It'll be hard for the market to regain. No, we read that. House price growth slowed in all UK regions. So maybe this one does do Northern Ireland. Our regional house price indices are produced quarterly with data from Q1 to 3 months to March, showing a further slowdown in annual house price growth in all regions. Indeed, 9 out of 13 regions recorded an annual house price decline. Scotland remained the weakest performing region, with prices down 3.1% compared to a year ago, a sharp slowing from the 3.3% year-on-year increase in the quarter. As you see in the little chart here, it is Northern Ireland is included. So must be Halifax that maybe don't include Northern Ireland. Right, so then we've got the regional breakdowns. So depending where you are in the world, I mean, I'm in, where am I classed as? East Anglia. So apparently we've had a quarterly change of 1.8% based on their mortgage figures. I would probably say that annual change is probably closer to about 5% from what I've noticed in my office and my sister office. Probably close to about 5%. We've anticipated, as you know, in this channel, I reckon they're going to be around 10% drop this year. Whether that will be the best case scenario if you're a homeowner or worst case scenario if you're a homeowner. But yeah, I imagine with what's going on at the moment that, yeah, probably 10% this year is probably there or thereabouts. Depending where you are, it could be 5%, it could be 15%, there could be no change at all, because as I've said many times on this channel, the housing market is made up of so many separate micro markets, even more markets than you see here. So this breakdown of 13, 14 different areas will not give you a specific picture of your town. I've got a town very close to me that gets way more money than the area that I specifically deal with. My sister office, their house prices are generally 10, 15% more. And when we had the last financial crisis in 2008, their prices barely dropped at all. So not every area will be affected the same and at the same time as well. So you've really got to do your own research and yeah, make your own decision based on as much facts and information you can find out, and then decide whether you want to buy or when to time to buy, because timing is everything, and most of the time you don't know, you've missed the bottom of the market until it's been and gone and prices have started to come up again. So you've got to base your buying decision on the best information you have and based on your personal circumstances. So let's compare this to Halifax. So the last report was a quarterly report, Q1. Halifax is based just on March's figures, and this is where Halifax and Nationwide have differed. Nationwide have seen 7 months of decline in house prices with their mortgages, whereas Halifax, I believe this is the 3rd month of price increases. The first month was very, very minor. It was like £15 increase, I think. And then last month's one was higher, and then this one as well. So monthly change up 0.8%. Let's go into it. UK housing market shows resilience as prices edge higher in March. Average house price increased by 0.8%, following a 1.2% rise in February. So we're looking at around 2% according to Halifax, which is part of Lloyd's banking group as well. So that'll be their figures as well. So 2% this year. I mean, January was a very small amount, so we'll call it 2%. Annual rate of house price growth slowed to 1.6 versus 2.1 for the previous 3 months in a row. Typical UK property now costs £287,880. So it's gone up a couple of grand since last month, which is a few mortgage payments. House price rose in all UK nations and regions last month, though the annual rate of growth continued to slow in most areas. So that rate in which Halifax are finding prices going up is still going up, but at a slower rate. Kim Kennard, let's see what they have to say. The UK housing market continues to show resilience following a sharp downturn at the end of 2022. With average property prices rising again in March, the typical house price is now 287,880, around 2% below the peak reached in August. So only 2% down on the peak of the market. That's what Halifax are reporting at the moment. So that massive crash which people have been predicting, a crash for me, when you use the word crash, is to gain attention. And if you imagine a crash, it's normally a quick and sudden event, whereas we don't seem to be going for that. And just like in 2008, 2009, it wasn't a crash, it was a financial crisis where prices came down sort of 15-20% depending where you were, but that happened over the course of a year. We've had what we're looking at here since Liz Truss's budget, October, November, December, January, February, March. So we're halfway through when things started getting a hell of a lot worse, and we're not even halfway to a 10% drop in prices from the peak of last year yet. That may change. It may change, and that's what I'm going to go over with what is certain at the end of the live stream. I'm going to tell you what is certain about the housing market at the end of the live stream. So hang around for that. And again, if you haven't liked the live stream, please give it a thumbs up. Be really, really grateful if you could. On an annual basis, house prices were 1.6% higher than a year ago, slowing from 2.1. So it's definitely slowing. This is the weakest rate of annual growth in nearly 3.5 years, having fallen markedly since June's 2022's peak of 12.5%. However, overall, these latest figures continue to suggest relative stability in the housing market at the start of 2023. We've experienced that as well in my office. Now, March last year was a fantastic month. We didn't sell anywhere near as much property this March as we did last March, but we wasn't expecting that. It was purely a normal month for us, what we'd call in a normal market, going back to before things started kicking off with COVID, and house prices certainly weren't dropping before COVID, but interest rates weren't as high either. And aligned with many other recent industry surveys and data. This has been characterised by a partial recovery in activity and transactions, especially when compared to the significant drop seen at the end of last year, with the latest Bank of England data showing mortgage approvals rising for the first time in 6 months. So, as I said in one of my videos, I think it was when Halifax released their first report of the year in January, that house prices had gone up by £15. And there's great correlation from what I've seen between Halifax's house price index and also interest rates. So when interest rates started to come down, we noticed, or come down quite significantly this year, we've noticed that on Halifax's data, that mortgage approvals have gone up as well. So, and I think I said that in the video, in my car along the seafront, I bashed out a quick video, and there seems to be a correlation between Halifax and the average interest rate for buying a property at the moment. Now, this could be that Halifax are a more competitive lender. Again, you need to speak to your own mortgage broker, or email me, lee@leeeverettproperty.co.uk, and I can put you in contact with a independent mortgage broker. But if Halifax are one of the most competitive mortgage lenders out there, they will start seeing more and more transactions and more data, and therefore they might have a better understanding of what's going on in terms of house prices. But the same could be said for nationwide, and they've noticed a drop as well. So yeah, we'll get onto that in a bit. The principal factor behind the improved picture has been the easing of mortgage rates. The sudden spike in borrowing costs that we saw in November and December has now been largely reversed. And while rates remain much higher than the average of the last decade across the industry, a typical 5-year fixed rate deal at 75% loan to value, which it's not the best terms of, obviously it's going to be, most people might have a 90% mortgage, 10% deposit, maybe 15% deposit. So 25% loan to value is not as common as some of these reports are making out. It's down by more than 100 basis points over the last month. So that's 1% basically. It's also important to recognise that the labour market, a key indicator for house prices, remains strong, with unemployment at historic lows of 3.7% and pay growth continues to look robust. Well, maybe not everyone's pay growth, eh? So that is the two mortgage price indices that have come out over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Now, a report that I've not gone over before on this channel. I've read it briefly, mainly because I wanted to get a handle on how broad the RICS survey is, how many people it asked, and what the questions actually were. And if you've read the report, which I think a few YouTubers and media outlets have linked to, I've linked to all the reports in the description, by the way, along with a link if you do want to get a quote for a solicitor with a £250 discount. But yeah, I just wanted to see how much information this report gives and how big the sample size is. Now, whenever house prices go up, some commentators on the property market who have predicted crashes and house prices dropping like a stone have quick to mention that when house prices go up, they say, oh, well, we'll say Halifax, for example, they only have 10% share of the mortgage market. So we can't take everything they say as gospel, which is absolutely true. Absolutely true. But what commentators need to do is be unbiased. And when another report backs them up, they can't ignore the market sample size just because it fits their narrative. That's not giving you all the information. They're giving you information based on their narrative. And here on this channel, I don't have a narrative. The chances that any of you guys are going to buy a house through me is very, very slim. So I've got no vested interest here apart from commentating on what I have seen and what I'm personally experiencing in the housing market. And you can base your decision on my opinion or not, or anybody else's. But this is my channel and this is what I do. No agenda, just reporting the news. So first and foremost, I wanted to get to how many people actually filled in this report. So how many surveyors across the country filled in this report. I'm not sure if you can see this here. If I can zoom in. Can I zoom in? Here we go. So, number of responses to this month's survey. So 295 responses to this report. Do you know how many estate agents or how many estate agent branches there are in the UK right now? It's well over 20,000. There's 20,000 branches filled with offices like me. Maybe not quite like me, but yeah. So this report is a very, very small sample of surveyors out of the whole of the property industry. Okay, so that is a key thing to understand when we're looking at this report. It's There's a lot of people that didn't reply to this. You can see that, can't you? There we go. So the sample size isn't huge at all. We'll go over the questions that they asked as well. How have average prices changed over the last 3 months? How have new buyer inquiries changed over the last month? How have new vendor instructions changed over the last month? Sales agreed changed. And then a lot of these questions are, how do you expect? How do you expect? How do you expect? How do you expect? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions there that are asking for their opinion. And that's the interesting thing. Their opinion, as we'll get into this in a moment, is that although this year the housing market might be subdued, they don't think it's going to last for long. So at the moment, as we'll go through the report, they think that things are slowing down, which everyone in their right mind would agree. If you hear an estate agent saying that the housing market isn't slowing down, chances are they're lying. Yeah, how do you know when an estate agent's lying? They're talking, apart from this guy. Or is that a lie? But yeah, there will be some places that are a little bit immune from what's going on at the moment, but the vast majority of the country will be seeing slowdown in house price growth and depreciation as well. So let's get into some of the report as we go here. So sales market activity remains subdued, although some forward-looking indicators turn less downbeat. So quite a decent, well-balanced headline. Subdued, but it's not looking as bad as people were predicting, or these surveyors predicted. The results of the March 2023 RICS UK residential survey continue to depict a general weak market backdrop, with indicators on demand, sales and new listings and house prices all remaining in negative territory. Moreover, near-term expectations suggest this pattern will remain in place for a while longer, amid the tighter lending environment. That said, the 12-month view on sales volumes has improved in the latest feedback, with respondents anticipating a more stable trend coming through further ahead. So, at the moment, with how things are at the moment, it's it's not looking good for the property market. But because we haven't had that crash which people are anticipating or hoping for or advertising, the longer that doesn't happen, or the more conflicting information we have, and remember, we've got to wait for land registry figures to come out as well, which I think is the 19th. So is that Tuesday, Wednesday, next week. And that will give us a picture on house prices that were agreed maybe 6 to 9 months ago. So we're looking around the peak of the market, or just the end of the peak of the market. We're going to be starting hitting the territory of when Liz Truss's budget hit. We're going to start seeing the impact of those. So if we start seeing a trend going downwards with the land registry figures, and that continues and continues and continues and drops like a stone, then yeah, the housing market is in some shit. But at the moment, we're not quite there. Not quite there. Looking at new borrower inquiries, a headline net balance of minus 29% of contributors reported a fall in demand during March. So 29%, a drop in people registering their interest in buying a property. For the agreed sales metric, the national net balance slipped to 31% this month, down from a figure of 25%. But still slightly less negative than the recent low of 43% seen back in October. I mean, October was just crap. Looking ahead, near-term expectations point to sales remaining under pressure over the next few months, returning to a net balance of minus 29%. Nevertheless, this is less downcast than the reading seen in February. Furthermore, the negative in near-term sales expectations has diminished to some degree in each of the past 3 reports. So the last 3 reports, they've noticed that the small sample, and I'm going to say small sample because it is a small sample, even though a lot of that report is saying how it's not going to be as bad as they were expecting earlier in the year or late last year. So that leads me on to what is certain in the housing market. Everyone has been asking, I've watched it on other people's YouTube channels and in blogs in the comment section, when's the market going to bottom out? How low are prices going to go? All these questions. Oh, hang on, mate. Rapture, how you doing? Yeah, I've got a different screen. I've got 2 screens going, and I need it quite big for me to see, but I don't know how that translates onto to you. But if anyone wants to zoom into the article, have a live stream on full screen in landscape, then pinch in to zoom out. You're welcome. Thank you very much, Raptor. Thank you very much. Let's make that a little bit wider. How you been, Raptor? Been all right? So I want to go into the certainty of the housing market. Let me take a swig of drink first. Sorry if you heard me swallowing that. So the truth of the matter is, when it comes to the property market, is there are so many variables. And we're not talking about just areas, interest rates. Everything affects the housing market, the whole economy, employment, unemployment, debt, absolutely everything, the cost of living. So it's so difficult to predict the housing market. And the only certainty, well, this is the only certain thing that you ever need to hear, is that nobody bloody knows. That's certain. No matter who you listen to, no matter what data they present, because no one knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Okay, so when people were predicting that house prices were going to drop, they'd done that before there was a war in the Ukraine, before Liz Truss's budget, before we started seeing banks over in America and over in Switzerland go bust. So they said this before that happened, right? And there's no way they could have predicted any of that, not to the extreme or to the detail enough to predict with any certainty what's going to happen in the housing market. And we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day or the next day. It's like predicting the weather. People have made predictions based on a constantly evolving and moving mechanism, which if there's an algorithm that can read what's going on and predict the future, then there's going to be some very, very rich people. Very, very rich people. These YouTubers who are saying the market's going to just bottom out and crash. And some of them start to change their views as well. It was going to drop in a year, X amount of percentage in a year. Now they've started saying within the next 2-3 years. But yeah, I mean, I've stuck my neck out and said I think they're going to drop 10% this year. And if that changes, I'll let you know. And if I think they're going to go down again next year, when I know what's happening in my area, I can then translate to you guys what I'm seeing and then give you my opinion. And that's all it is, an opinion based on the facts that I have. But anyone who shows you graphs about what's happened before today is a completely unique set of circumstances, and it can't be compared with any other financial change in our economy. Okay, we've got different circumstances, different rules, different things going on in the world, which makes predicting anything really, really hard. And that's why what you take away from this live stream is you've got conflicting house price indices. You've got a lot of different things happening on a daily basis in the economy. 1 minute you've got with the worst performing G20 or G7 economy. Then they're saying the budget in March has steered their economy back on track. You're hearing unemployment changing, interest rates changing, inflation down then up. Do you know what I mean? There's so many different things that nobody can predict exactly what's going to happen. So what you guys need to do, if you are thinking about buying a property, right, is buy if you need to. Okay, and if you are buying because you need to, do your research. Don't jump at the first thing. Make sure you can afford it. And when you're doing your research, work out how much the property is worth to you. And that will only you can answer that question. You may pay more or less for that property than I would. My house, it's in an okay area, but people will pay extra to be in my part of the town. Other people won't. So you can't really ask anybody else's opinion what a house is worth apart from what it's worth to you. That location, that size, the position of the garden, anything like that will have a key thing into what the property is worth. And a property is worth only what somebody's willing to pay for it. And what makes it even more difficult is everybody has a different value for a property. Okay, so these reports that we've been looking at today, to be fair, don't mean nothing, right? It's going to be done by how much you can afford and what you feel that property is worth. And if that owner agrees with you and accepts your offer, then great. But the market decides what's going to happen, and that is a daily moving thing. So do your own research. Only pay what you think the property is worth to you. Don't listen if your friend, parent, aunt, uncle, estate agent goes, oh, it's worth a bit more than that. You can pay a bit more than that. No. You've done your research. Only you know what you want to pay for that property and what it's worth to you. Okay? So definitely do your research. Speak to people. Get their opinion. But when it comes to value and what you should offer on a property, only you can answer that. You're the one that's going to be lumbered with a 25, 30, 35 or even 40-year mortgage. So you should only listen to yourself. Disregard all the crap that people are saying, the reports. Do your own research. The buck stops with you. You can't come crying to anybody else if you feel you've overpaid for a property because you're the one that's offered it. And it's a bit of tough love, but I'm honest. And I think if a lot more people were honest, a lot more people could make better informed decisions based on their own circumstances rather than, I've spoken to people on my mailing list who are waiting until next year to buy a property. They're in rented at the moment, paying close to £1,000 a month. £1,000 a month. And that might be cheap compared to what some people are paying in the country. Thanks, Rapture. Thank you. It is crazy long. It's just a sign of where we're going with things. The banks have, again, use this word, circumnavigated the affordability by extending mortgage length terms. Yeah. So I think in Japan, they do lifelong mortgages, which your family can inherit. You imagine taking out a mortgage which your children have to finish off paying. Jesus Christ. Hopefully we don't get there. But yeah, you could be paying £1,000 a month for a 2-bedroom flat house, whatever it is. But they want to continue to pay rent for the next year. So another £12,000. Plus maybe not being able to save any money as well. It's a personal choice. Me personally, I would much rather start paying my own mortgage, provided I'm not overpaying for a property. I'd rather pay my mortgage than pay an investor's. And there'll be a point where because rents are becoming so high at the moment that I think mortgages and rent payments at the moment are quite level. I think, judging from my area and the average house price that I'm selling at. But for example, 3-bedroom houses in my area were renting 3-4 years ago for about £700 a month, £750, maybe £8 if the landlord was really nice, really lucky and in a nice area. We now have people fighting over 3-bedroom houses, £1,400-1,500 a month in 4 years. 4 years different, nearly double. There's going to be a time, I think in the near future, with the amount of landlords that are selling at the moment. I mean, I've got a landlord who's, as soon as the tenancy is up, he's giving notice and he's selling. A lot of landlords are approaching that retirement age where they can just sell their properties, have the money, and that's their pension come in. And then we're going to see less and less rental properties on the market. And then the landlords who are still in the rental market are going to see there's a shortage and keep increasing those rents. So, and once you're in that rent cycle, as I'm sure a few of you may be in, it could be hard to get out. How can you save any money if you're paying £1,400-1,500 a month? It's just absolutely nuts, absolutely nuts. But this is where it's individual to you. If you're able to pay rent and save and potentially wait for bigger drops in house prices, then that's your decision. Nobody can tell you if you're right or wrong. No one at all. That is your decision based on what you want to do. Now, if you don't need to buy, you don't want that security, then definitely rent. Definitely rent. You've got the flexibility to move out when you want within reason. You get the maintenance paid for your property. But in the same breath, when your tenancy agreement runs out, there's a strong chance that your landlord may be putting up your rent. And if you can't afford it, unfortunately, there will be people who can. And we have 3 or 4 people fighting for every property that comes on the market for rent. I mean, I'm not in the letting sector myself. We've got a separate office for that. But yeah, they're absolutely screaming for new properties because landlords are selling up it's just nuts. They've passed over so many landlords who have evicting tenants that we're now having to sell. It's at least 2 or 3 a month, which we normally get 1 every couple of months, a landlord exiting the market, but now we're getting 2 or 3 a month, which they're not happy about because they're losing management, but I don't mind. But you've got the whole supply and demand with the rental market, which is a lot more fluid. So less properties is pretty instant. If a landlord evicts somebody, boom, that's a property gone straight away. It's on the market and hopefully sold in 3 or 4 weeks, unless it's bought by another landlord. But with interest rates higher than what they have been and the tax changes the Conservatives have brought in over the last few years, owning a property to rent out isn't as attractive as it used to be, especially when you've got interest rates now going up in savings accounts. You've got some landlords who, at the moment, with the interest rate increases, if they're on a standard variable rate, if their interest rate shot up and they're only making 3% yield on their rental property, you can get 4.5% in a 2-year fixed savings bond at the moment with no hassle. So they could take their money out, earn more money with no hassle. So you can see the logic why landlords are looking to sell, and that's going to put upward pressure on rental prices. I've not got the figures, but I'm sure we're going to be seeing rental prices going up probably close to 10% in the next year. And that's with everything else going up as well. So yeah, renting is going to be more expensive, but it could be the right route for you if you think you can save enough money in the long run with house prices coming down. That's my 2 pence. £1,000 are cheap to ANAG. Yeah, I mean, as I said, depending where you are in the world, which nobody's told me where you're actually living. But I say 4 years ago, 3-bed house, mid-terrace house, £750, £800. Now we're nearly double. 25 years is long, but 35 plus is crazy, yeah. And like I say, in Japan, you can actually take a lifelong mortgage, which your children inherit. Inheriting debt, wow. The whole point is that, you leave your kids something, which is one of the benefits of owning a house. You do have something to leave or to sell later on in your retirement to release some money, which you don't have if you do rent a property. Jimmy, would you consider doing a live stream with Charlie? Yeah. I think we both agree that house prices are going down. I don't agree with his headline of 35%, or on average 35%. So he thinks some places may be more than 35. I think he's mentioned 50% in some areas, which, wow, if that does happen, that's some massive drop. Again, my opinion, I don't think that's going to happen, but everyone is entitled to their opinion. I respect everyone's opinion, but yeah, I think he's got bigger fish to fry than a little estate agent from Essex. I have followed him for bloody ages, though. I followed him before he had 1,000 subscribers. He sort of done a few property videos. Then he went on to sort of trying to help the homeless, home for everybody, I think he done. And then he picked up traction when he started predicting the house price crash. So, I think if you portray a certain narrative, then you're going to get more views. And I've started writing some stuff down. Do you know, when I'm driving around in my car a lot, something pops in my head. I've started taking a little, some notes down. And I've jotted a few things down when I've been speaking to people and all sorts. I've only got a couple of pages. One of them is, I've decided to say what I think, providing I believe in it. So you won't hear anything on this channel that I say that I don't believe in. And I think I can end these live streams knowing that everything I've told you today, I personally believe is going to happen. There's no narrative, there's no hidden agenda or anything like that. I personally believe the views in which I'm putting out on this channel. And I think that's important for you guys to know, that I don't have any vested interest. I get paid £60 every few months from YouTube for making these videos. So I'm not doing it for the financial gain or anything like that. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy helping people, but I only say stuff that I truly believe in. And yeah, that's something which I thought I'd wrote down. I thought you guys might want to know. And a quote that I heard, I was listening to a podcast, and we can kind of tie this into whether you should buy a property or not. So Jeff Bezos, obviously the Amazon owner, he's got a quote saying, "Base your decisions on the probability of your regret." Now, you can read into that what you like, but it's with buying a house. If you bought now, would you regret it if prices dropped 5-10% later in the year? If you bought later, would you regret not buying now because you've had paid off an extra year on your mortgage? Do you know what I mean? So when you're making your house buying decision, I'm going to quote the quote again, base your decisions on the probability of your regret, which I think that's a really powerful quote. So before you decide anything, decide on your probability of regretting it later down the line. I think it's a real interesting way of making a decision, rather than making a snap judgment or listening to people like me. Base your decision on whether you think you'll regret it in the future or not. Let me know what you think. I think that's quite a deep quote for me anyway. Where are we? Another thought that popped into my head while I was either talking to somebody or just driving around to my next appointment. Some vendors are delusional or unrealistic. They're one or the other. Generally, you've got the delusional, which think nothing's happening in the market, everything's going to be fine, and yeah, absolutely delusional. And you've then got the unrealistic vendors that think that their house is the best in the street, that a Londoner who's got lots of money will come down to the cheaper area and pay whatever you're asking. And the amount of conversations I've had over the last few weeks with sellers, and I've turned down some business because owners wanted too much money. Which, I mean, my boss probably would want me to take it on the market with the view of trying to reduce it eventually. But for me personally, I'd much rather spend my time selling properties for sellers who aren't delusional and who are realistic with their pricing. And they're the houses that are selling. The owners who are trying even a smidgen more than what we're selling are taking so much longer to sell and having to reduce and maybe getting less anyway. So, delusional versus unrealistic. What do you think the percentage is in terms of overpriced properties and what their vendors think? Yeah, massive increase in the rental. And bye-bye baby boomers, yes. Yep. I've heard a lot of landlords are throwing in the towel to renting due to changing law, I think, to no fault evictions not being allowed. Yeah, I don't think it's been brought in yet. I think COVID stopped that. But yeah, I think they're looking to bring in no fault evictions, which I don't think's happened just yet. But you've got energy performance laws changing around 2025, where the EPC rating has to be a C, and a landlord has to spend at least £3,500 to get it up to a C. Or apply for an exemption. So a lot of landlords are going to have to dip their hands in the pocket again after having to do the electrical safety certificate that came in a couple of years ago, losing money on the interest payments on their mortgage, which they used to be able to claim back. So yeah, a lot of people getting out of the game. Ida, hello, welcome back. The houses in some streets I was looking at last year have gone up by £50,000. Fantastic. Not fantastic, but that's a fantastic amount, a huge amount. Whereabouts are you, Isla? And are they selling? Because that's the key thing, because we may be getting some delusional or unrealistic sellers. If I'm experiencing them, then there certainly are some other ones out there. I'm pretty sure about it. I think Charlie would benefit from Leon live stream. You're not a little estate agent from Essex. You're cooler. Cheers. I've done it 20 odd years, so I know about the estate. I don't know too much about the economic side of the world, which Charlie seems to have a fairly good handle on, and he has a lot more data than me, which is maybe why he predicts something different to me. But I've just got a feeling in my gut, and I truly believe it. That 10% this year. And if I think they're going to go down next year, I'll certainly let you know as soon as I think it or believe it. Until then... where are we? Lately, I've been told by a couple of friends to get my property valued after renovation. Is this needed? Are there any benefits to this, or is it more peace of mind? So, Mr. Fay, you've bought a property, you're renovating it, and your friends have said get it valued. A lot of people do that. They like to know if the money they've spent has actually improved the value of the property. I know, a lot of investors that I sell property to on a regular basis who I've got a good rapport with. Even if they buy a property through another estate agent, they get me round after they've completed, in terms of bought the property, let me know what they're going to do, and then I advise whether it's worth doing it, whether that will add value or not. So if you're partway through your renovations, it could be worth speaking to a couple of estate agents, get an idea on what their view on the property market is, ask for a no bullshit assessment of what's going on, where you can add value, where you can save some money, which isn't going to add value. But if it's going to be your home, Mr. Fee, and you're going to be there for a long time, it doesn't really matter what it's worth when you're finished. It's only when you come to sell. So you make that home as nice and as comfortable as you want, but only if you're planning to be there for a long time. And I've said this before on my channel. I've got a 3-bedroom semi-house. We want to extend off the back, across the whole back, and we want to go in the loft. If we do that, we know would be putting too much money into this property, and it would never get anywhere near the money back that we put into it. So when we do that, it will only be when we know we're happy here. If we do those alterations, we're going to stay here for a bloody long time, and it won't really matter when we come to sell whether we've made money or not, because it's been our home first and foremost. But if you're interested to see what it's going to be worth once you've done it, then by all means, no problem with that at all. And if your mortgage runs out you've got a 2-year fixed from when you bought it, and you're a year into it, could be worth to find out roughly what your loan to value is after you've done the work. No harm at all. I do follow my convictions. I do. I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, I'll always hold my hands up. But you know that anything I say is because I believe it. And so it may not get me the exposure which other people get, but I'm not here for exposure. I'm too busy for anything else. I think you should shout louder than other YouTubers. Do you mean to turn the volume up on the mic? The only way, I think there's another YouTube channel I follow, something economics. He made a YouTube channel that his videos on doom and gloom got him way more subscribers and way more views than his videos which predicted or had good news or just normal news. So sex sells, bad news sells, which is why you've got to read a bit further into the headlines. Good and bad. Yes, Jeff Bezos does. I haven't really read anything about Jeff Bezos. I was listening to a podcast and this quote came out, and I just thought it's good. It's good. Another quote. Not another quote. Another thought that popped into my head, and this sort of ties into a little bit with what we're saying now about being honest. Honesty over short-term gain. Now, I've unknowingly believed in that for all of my working career. I'm not that typical estate agent that will tell a seller or a buyer what an estate agent should do in terms of overcharging a seller, lying to a seller, lying to buyers. Do you know what I mean? All that unwritten stuff which you all know estate agents do. I've never been comfortable with that. And when I first got my job as an estate agent, my dad was actually quite disappointed. He wasn't, I won't say he wasn't angry, but I could tell that he had higher hopes for me because of the stigma and the the reputation that we have. And I've tried every day of my working life not to be that man that my dad thought the profession would do to me. And I hope he sees that. I really do. And I hope you guys can see that as well. But yeah, honesty over short-term gain. So another little nugget. What else we've got? I'm going to try and pronounce this. Tululope. Hope I said that. Hello, Lee. Happy to watch you live again. Hope you're fine. I'm doing very, very well. Thank you. Very, very well. It's just been busy at work, busy at home with the kids. I hope you're okay too. Matt Freeman, how you doing? What's your guess on house price drops in 2023? 10%. I personally think so. And I believe that. I believe 10% this year, which it's going to be hard to know this year whether that's the case or not, because the only real indicator is land registry. And that data can be 3, 6, 9 months out of date. So we may not know what happened in 2023 till June, July, August next year. We'll start seeing more data coming out over the next few months, which will give us a better understanding on what has happened, but definitely not going to say what will happen, because it's only previous data, and previous data can change. Well, not previous data is that, but moving forward, things can change. You might start, say, the next 2 land registry figures that come out over the next couple of months. Obviously, I think one's Tuesday, and one will be 4 weeks after that. We might start seeing huge drops. In house prices. And I say huge drop would be sort of 2-3% compared to the month before. I think that's quite a large drop in 1 month. Then we might start hearing people go, well, maybe that's as low as they're going to go, and then people start buying again. So that can change people's perception of what's going to happen with the market. They think, oh, that must be the bottom, I'm going to start buying it. So if interest rates come down, then yeah. But yeah, 10% is my guess. That's what I believe in my gut. What's your opinion, please? I can't make up my mind between 2 houses. One has a better neighbourhood but needs renovation. The other house is better but average neighbourhood, large house, price. There's so many things you can change about a property, Prasanna. So many things. I think a lot of you guys watching will probably agree. And if you do agree, please hit the thumbs up. That would be great. We've got 34 people watching and 12 likes. So if we can get some more likes, that would be great. You can never change where a property is. Okay, they say buy the worst house in the best street. That tends to be a lot of people's advice when it comes to which property to go for. Now, provided you're not overpaying for either house, I would probably go for the house that needs renovation in the better area, because if you're going to live there as a home, sure, you want to be in a better area, right? If it's the same size house and the only difference is area and condition, you can improve the condition. You personally can't improve the area of the other property. You can try, But if the rest of the street aren't interested, you're going to be fighting an uphill battle. But me personally, I would be looking to buy the worst house in the best street. Then that way you can add value. And then if house prices do come down, hopefully any increase in value will help cushion it somewhat. It may not stop it completely, but it might be able to cushion it. But that's what I would do. Worst house in the best street. This house needed completely renovating. But it was in a good area, near good schools and near the seafront. No matter where I buy, I can't put a seafront where I want to be. I can't pick up a school and put it nearer me, and I can't put it in a better area than the other houses we were looking at. So, yeah, that would be my advice. And if anybody disagrees, this is what the community is about. Share your views. But, Prasanna, make your own decision. That's just what I would do. And as you know, I truly believe that. Enfield, yes, they're still selling. So, yep. We're noticing that properties are still selling in Enfield, and that was £50,000 more than last year, which is nuts. The market seemed to have stalled in February, but last month onwards, I've seen more houses selling and the asking prices have increased. So I've seen January and February were pretty good. March, we sold loads of beach huts in March for like 30, 40 grand. Who buys beach huts in February for 30, 40 grand? Yeah. There's always money out there, guys. There's always people with money out there who will spend it. But yeah, 30, 40 grand on beach huts. Sold 3 or 4 beach huts last month. No, that's February. No, it was March. Yeah. So there's always people with money. Increased. I think location always wins. Yep, I'd agree. But again, if you and your personal circumstances means that you won't have the money to renovate the property, and you're going to be living not how you want to live, then maybe going in the better condition house in a not as nice area might be better for you. With those mortgage payments and your deposit gone, your savings gone for going to the deposit, then it could be a route. But personally, for me and for Rapture, the better street and the worst house. Thanks. Been nearly 1 year since offer accepted and a long time since we last spoke. Got the keys in December and a few weeks away from moving in. We'll send you pics. Yeah, definitely. Send me some pictures. Be good to see. Obviously emails scrolling down there now actually. So yeah, be really good to see. About your dad, but it's good you're bringing integrity to the estate agent you work. Give you good. He wasn't like disowning me or anything like that. I don't want to paint a bad picture of my dad. My dad's great. But yeah, estate agencies 20 years ago had, maybe we still do, the same reputation as double glazing salesmen and dodgy second-hand car salesmen. We just wear a suit. But yeah, he's cool. Especially when I sold his house a few years ago and didn't charge him barely anything. So yeah, he didn't mind then. I hate when estate agents say, oh, we have had another offer for X amount and the process is ongoing, so you're going to have to put a higher offer. Yeah. Or when they say, oh, we can't tell you what that's. So, yeah, agents shouldn't disclose somebody else's offer. And I'm a firm believer in that not because it protects the seller or helps the seller, but it does. I'm not going to say it doesn't help the seller, but I would always. This is where my integrity comes into it, which I'm hoping in this live stream, which I'm really getting a bit deep with, which I don't think I've maybe gone as deep in before, tells you where I am in terms of helping people, buyers, sellers, all right? If you had offered on a property and the owner hadn't made a decision or had said yes but's keeping it on the market for whatever reason, would you want me telling another buyer what you've offered? No. That gives them an unfair advantage over you. And I personally don't think it's right. That integrity thing for me, if somebody asks me what's the other person offered, I basically say, what would you want me to do if you was that other person? Would you want me to tell you what you'd offered so they could beat it? And 99% of the time, they're going to say, well, no, of course not. And yeah, so I think when they say we can't tell you the offer, I think it's probably the moral way of doing it. But that's just me personally. Other agents will tell you. They might give you an indication that, oh, it's not quite asking price, or it's a little bit away off asking price. They might help you that way. But me personally, I don't like to let down the other buyer, because I think it's out of order. Spending money and then, yeah, not good. If you're watching, click the thumbs up. I was writing it when Lee said it. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Another one for location. Thank you very much. Alex Santana, love the content of this channel. Congrats, Lee. After the evaluation of property, I'm able to extra borrow 76,000 at 4.8%, and together with some savings to try and buy something in the north. I'm guessing that maybe for a second property, maybe. If it is for a second property, Alex, I don't really give advice on that. This is mainly for first time buyers, but when you're investing in property, it's a risk. Any investment's a risk. So you've got to be happy with the interest rate you're paying, and the rent you're going to get, and make sure you've got an exit strategy if things don't work out the way you want to go. But that's what I'm going to say, Alex, because yeah, I try and help first time buyers rather than investors, or home movers. Make sure you click the bell so you get notification. I don't know how often there's going to be live streams. I don't know. I'm trying to do it every Wednesday. I'll try and get back to that. I'll try and get back to that. If the average area has some I can't say that word. I've tried to say it a few times this month. Going on, best to invest there. I've missed the train in Salford. Yep, great comment. If you can see the area is an up and coming area, then it might be worth it. We had an area close to me which is not a very nice area, which before the recession, the local government had earmarked basically bulldozing it and starting again, and that was going to be the new Docklands. And then it didn't happen. So we had loads of people investing in an area where there was plans for marinas, harbours, you name it. The plan was there to do it, and then it didn't happen. And a lot of people invested in buy-to-lets there thinking they're going to get compulsory purchased for way more than what it was worth, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen. So there is risk to that as well. But also good areas can get bad over a period of time. So yeah, there's a lot to think about. Hello, Umit. How are we? Good to see you back. Again, if you can like the stream, that'd be fantastic. Tom, welcome back, my friend. Notice some properties taken off the market only to come back with different agents. No change in price. Is there anything to be gained from this? So yes, from a seller's point of view, that means they get recirculated by Rightmove without the need to reduce. So we've lost a few instructions. We've told sellers the only way to be recirculated on Rightmove with your current agent is to reduce the price by a minimum of 2%. Okay, so if you reduce it less than 2%, it won't appear in added in the last 24 hours, reduced today. Okay, so it needs to be more than 2% for that reduction to show on Rightmove and to be emailed out to everybody. So if you're seeing reduced today as in added in the last 24 hours, then you know that property's been reduced by more than 2%. Anything less than that, it gets reduced, but it doesn't get put back out there by Rightmove's algorithm, if that's the word. So I've suggested to a few sellers over the last couple of months to reduce their price by more than this 2%. This is where we get down to the delusional and unrealistic sellers. They don't think that their house is overpriced. It's just the estate agent not doing their job properly. When you can show physical evidence that 30, 40, 50,000 people have seen that property and only 700-800 people have clicked on those details, and that's resulted in only a handful of viewings, then it's not the price. Can't be the price. It's got to be the estate agent and their photos. But going on with another estate agent, we'll get it listed as added today and then get re-emailed out to anybody who's got an alert registered with Rightmove. So can be a way of a seller of basically getting reignited in the property market and put back in front of people and anybody new that's registered without having to reduce their property. But yeah, it's it can be a bit naughty. No, it's not naughty. They can do it, but generally those ones will be because they don't want to reduce their property. So they're going to give and you'll find that some sellers will go from agent to agent to agent, go to 3, 4, 5, 6 estate agents without selling their property and still not click that it's got to be the price. Like I've took a house on the market that was on the market for, went on for £500,000. In my opinion, it was £100,000 too much. This was 3-4 months ago. That seller has had 2 estate agents, and they're not bad estate agents. They may have told them the wrong price to win their business, but in terms of sales, they tend to do relatively well. We've took it on the market and said, look, you've had 2 estate agents on it. Let's give it a couple of weeks at that price, just so you know it's not the estate agents, and then let's bring it down. But no, they won't bring it down. So they've had us. We're generally the best-selling agent in my area. We don't like to brag about it, but we are. And the other 2 were probably 3rd or 4th best agent in the town, around that sort of figure. They both had 1 or 2 viewings each over 6, 7, 8 week period. We've had it on 3-4 weeks and won't reduce. So I've said, look, if you're not going to reduce, I'm afraid we're going to take it off the market. We agreed that you'd reduce and you haven't. So, ta-da. It's not very often an agent disinstructs a seller. Normally it's the other way around. Where are we? Rapture's noticed a bit of that too, Tom. But I say that's the reason why they get to recirculate, re-advertise their property without actually having to reduce it. Yeah, it's tricky. For example, I bought a property in Birmingham. A few years later, massive luxury apartments were built 2 minutes walk away. That skyrocketed the price. The average rent. Yeah. So you will get that, but there's no certainty, is there? There's no certainty. It's one of those things. One of those things. Lee, do you help first-time buyers to buy a place who live outside Essex or just in your area? As I think buying agent would be better than a seller. During the peak of all this going on, I offered a service. I started pretty late, to be honest with you. I think I started last year, offering a service to help first-time buyers offer on a property where I would do the negotiating on your behalf, so the estate agents couldn't get their claws into you. So you weren't forced into paying more than what you wanted to, or lied about with other offers and stuff like that. So that is a service I'm still offering. But in the market we're in at the moment, there's not as many people looking and prices are coming down. So people think they can get money off themselves. But I do offer that service for the whole of England and Wales as well. So if you do need some assistance in offering on a property, get in touch below, lee@leeeverettproperty.co.uk. I can run through what I can do for you and the charges involved as well. But yes, it's definitely something which I definitely do. I'm getting a white spinning circle. Might be my internet connection. Might be mine. Are we back? We're okay now. That's perfect. Well, we've been going for a lot longer than what I thought, guys. A hell of a lot longer. So I want to thank you for joining me. I didn't know if I had anybody who would even A, remember me, or B, be interested on a Sunday evening watching me on YouTube. So thank you so much. So we're probably going to, unless any more questions come in now, the live stream has got back up and running, probably call it a night. Might be able to do a live stream Wednesday, depending if the little boy decides to stay asleep. But it's been really great talking to you. Really great. It's been nice to open up a little bit on my thoughts as well. Yeah, that's my thinking behind this channel and why I want to help, and the thoughts and my convictions of why I do it, and my thinking behind it. So it's been great to unexpectedly unload that, really. So thank you. Probably charged me for being my psychiatrist. Last question from Nag. Can you please explain the process of getting some of the equity out when you remortgage a property? I mean, price of your first property goes up when you remortgage again of your FT property. So if you want to pull money out of your home, you obviously need to, it's gone up in value, or you've paid off more equity to be able to pull that money out. So what you do is you get a remortgage where it pays off the existing mortgage and gives you more money, and then you can use that money I'm explaining it all wrong. If you want to speak to a mortgage broker, let me know. I can't advise on that, actually. I can't advise you on that. I should have said that first. Yeah. Ignore that last bit. I can't give financial advice. Nearly got caught out there. Mr. Livestream, yes, I'm hoping I'll be back Wednesday. I say the wife's got quite a few thousand wedding photographs to edit. Yeah, I might be about a bit more next week. Rapture. Enjoy your live streams because you're very down to earth and share knowledge in an easy to understand. Thanks, Lee. I'm a simple person. Don't have too many big words. Look, guys, thank you so much. If you haven't liked the stream, please give it a like before you go. If you want a quote for a solicitor, there's a link in the description which gives you £250 off. So, yeah, if you're interested in that, have a quote, no obligation. If you're interested in my house buying service, email me, lee@leeeverettproperty.co.uk. Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday evening, and I will try my very best to see you at some point next week. Take care.